massive wildfires in China burned the size of 2 Taiwans. Instead of warning people and evacuating them, the CCP completely covered the news up. As someone who grew up in communist China, I've seen this happen so many times, like how they covered up SARS and COVID outbreaks until the situation got really out of hand. So in this video, let me show you all the tactics the CCP used in the cover-up and explain to you why they tried so hard to cover things up. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name's Ali. If you like my content, please help me by like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It will really help my channel grow and reach more people. Alright, so let's talk about the fire first. The wildfires were mostly happening in Guizhou province in China. Guizhou is a mountainous province, so it's very easy for wildfire to spread from mountain to mountain. There were small-scale mountain fires happening starting from February 10th, and by the 18th, things were out of control. There were fire burning all over Guizhou, and if you drive down any highway in Guizhou, you can see fire burning on the sides. People were seeing fires on airplanes, on trains that's passing by Guizhou, and some of the local villages were just surrounded by fire and people have nowhere to escape to. This is a satellite heat map of the province from February 19th to 20th, and all the red dots on the map are showing you where the fire were basically happening. Someone also compiled a list of cities with wildfires burning in the province. At this point, more than half of Guizhou was on fire. So how big is Guizhou exactly? To give you some context, Guizhou is approximately the same size as Missouri or Oklahoma, and is larger than England, Wales, and Northern Ireland combined. But the fire was not only burning in half of Guizhou province, it was spreading to neighboring provinces such as Sichuan, Yunnan, and Guangxi province. And because these provinces' terrain are mostly covered by mountains, so the local people, they actually built their homes on the mountains and they live on the mountains. So you can imagine the scale of this massive fire and the damage it caused. In a normal country, the government would have issued some sort of state emergency and helped with evacuation and rescue. But this is not happening in communist China because they were too busy putting out fire online. So this is what they did. Step 1, they forbid all of the media from reporting on the fire until they couldn't stop people from talking about it anymore. Step 2, they threatened the individuals to not post anything. This is a screenshot taken from a Weixin group. This message was sent by an auxiliary or special police in a local police station in Guizhou province. And the message says, I will repeat again, don't be alarmed if you see fire and do not upload videos on Weixin or TikTok. If you upload anything online and cause negative public opinion, you will bear lawful consequences. Do not incite panic in other people. If you don't see the fire, then forget about it. Do not ask anything, do not say anything. And apparently this is an order came from above. Step 3. There are people who ignore the warnings and posted on social media asking for help. But all the posts they made, they'll never make it to the hot trendy list on Chinese social media, because all social media platforms and search engines are rigged in China. Remember when the messy incident happened not too long ago? It was all over the news, taking over headlines for days, and it was super trendy on the Chinese internet. That's because the CCP purposely added fuel to the conflict. They did that in order to cover up the stock market plummet and other civil unrest during the Chinese New Year. Now, during this massive wildfire, the CCP filled the Chinese media, as well as the internet, with news such as the successful weight loss story of a female celebrity or a married teacher's affair with her 16-year-old student, so that people wouldn't pay attention to the fire. Step 4, CCP tracked down those who are brave enough and desperate enough to post stuff online about the fire, and they forced them to take it down. According to Radio Free Asia's report, a dissident in Guizhou had 2 secret policemen from the CCP's Ministry of State Security knocking on his door, demanding him to delete his post on the wildfires. And they said the water came from above. According to Epoch Times report, a resident of Guizhou who volunteered in the rescue uploaded a video on the wildfire. The internet police found out about the video and tracked down to him and demanded him to delete the video. So now he doesn't dare to discuss about it anymore. He said he'll end up in jail if he talks. Step 5. The CCP manipulated information on their official news. So by February 21st, the CCP couldn't contain the news about the fire anymore, and more people are learning about it. So on the next day, February 22nd, the state-run medias finally published one news article about the fire, and it was to say all 221 wildfires have been successfully put out under the government's lead, and there's nothing to worry about now. Now the Chinese people finally learned about the wildfire, but some are questioning how come there was no news from any state-run media for days. One replied sarcastically, state-run media is used for reporting on foreign fire disasters. Someone else also said, because it didn't happen in the US, Canada, or Australia. If it was a big fire in Canada, it would immediately be on CCTV news. It seems like more and more Chinese people can see through the CCP tricks now. Someone on Twitter did an interesting tally. He counted how many news articles the CCP mouthpiece Global Times published on the wildfire in Hawaii in August last year, compared to how many articles was published on the Guizhou wildfire. And the result was 26 articles on the Hawaii wildfire versus only one report on the Guizhou wildfire, and that's after they couldn't hide it anymore. So he got me curious, other than the numbers difference, were there any difference in the report themselves on these two different wildfire disasters? So I read these CCP articles, did a little calculation, and here's my comparison. The area on fire in Hawaii was 68.8 square kilometers, while the estimated area on fire in Guizhou was about the size of 2 Taiwans, and each Taiwan is about 36,000 square kilometers, so the total was about 72 square kilometers. There were 1.4 million residents in Hawaii, while Guizhou has 38.5 million people. And that's not counting the surrounding provinces that's also on fire. There were 4 wildfires happening in Hawaii, and according to CCP's report, there were 221 wildfires in Guizhou plus 22 in Guangxi, so a total of 243 wildfires. The death toll in Hawaii was more than 100 people plus 3 missing. But in Guizhou, we had a whopping 2 casualties, and both of them are firefighters. That's why some people say the only truth you can find on CCP mouthpiece media is the publishing date. Now, step 6. After the news broke out, it's time to shift the blame. I also compared what they wrote as the cause of the wildfires between the reports on Hawaii and the report on Guizhou. In the article titled, Why Hawaii Big Fires Were Out of Control, the first paragraph was on the death toll the fire caused and how it caused $5.5 billion worth of damage. And then it said, the inaction of the US federal and state government led to the wildfire to burn harder and harder and caused injury and casualties on the local people, as well as property and emotional damage. But in the article titled, Why Frequent Wildfires Happened in Guizhou Recently, Emergency Department response, climate and human factors are the main reason, there was a stark contrast. The first 2 paragraphs, it sang praises about how much the different government departments were working together and how 15,000 low-level communist officials joined to put out the fire. And then it says climate was to blame, but at the end of the article, the main blame was put on the individuals for burning incense, cigarettes, firecrackers, etc. But don't worry, 10 people, or should I say, scapegoats, were arrested accordingly. And the article mentioned absolutely nothing about how much property was damaged, how much the people suffered. It was only about how much credit should be given to the CCP. Ironically, the very reason the CCP tried to cover up the wildfires in the first place was because they don't want people to see how incompetent the government is. They want to show people everything is under control, and especially this massive wildfire happened right before the CCP hosted their 14th two sessions meeting. And soon after the wildfire was reported in the news, multiple rumors surfaced on the internet. One was about how it was the Japanese that's behind the wildfire and they are the ones who committed arson. And another one is that the wildfire was a result of the US testing some laser weapon. What the CCP is trying to do here is not only shift the blame, but also to emphasize that wildfire was caused by human. But the thing is, almost 250 wildfires all over Guizhou province and surrounding provinces. Maybe one or two was caused by human, but it was clearly a natural disaster. So why would the CCP deny the massive wildfires is a result of natural disaster? And that's because in Chinese culture, natural disasters and plagues are known as heaven's punishment. In ancient China, the sage kings and emperors, they will always take natural disasters as warning sign from the heaven and try to find faults in themselves, try to improve and continue to govern with virtue. But you see, communism and communist leaders in China, they can never be wrong. You can never ever hear any apology coming from communist China. And they're atheists, so they don't believe in any beings that's higher than them. At the same time, they regard themselves as gods, and they want people to worship them as gods. Unfortunately, there's so many large-scale natural disasters that's happening in China in recent years. The CCP cannot stop natural disasters from happening, so they're trying their best to stop the news from spreading. If we look back at how the CCP covered up COVID when it first broke out, we can see they used the exact same tactics as how they covered up the Guizhou wildfires. First, the CCP ordered the media to not report on COVID for months, and then they warned people to not spread rumors about the virus. And then they rigged the social media and blocked out anything that's related to the outbreak. Step 4, they arrested the whistleblowers. Step 5, when the news finally broke out, all the Chinese news articles were about how hard the CCP was working on building shelter hospitals and how ridiculously low the death rate was in China compared to all other countries. Step 6, the CCP published multiple articles showing evidence that the virus was created by America in the lab, and they were condemning the US for spreading this deadly virus into China. And by doing that, they redirected all the hatred the Chinese people had towards the CCP and shifted on a foreign country. And the reasons the CCP covered up COVID are the same as to why they covered up the wildfires: to maintain stability and to save face, and most importantly, plagues, just like other natural disasters, are considered a form of heaven's punishment in ancient China, in today's China as well. Many dynasties in ancient China were ended as a result of plague. So the CCP is absolutely afraid of the Chinese people thinking and realizing that the heaven is not on the CCP side. That's all for today. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I'm Ali, and I'll see you next time.